Hi PowerShell community, and welcome our guest today from Belgium, Thomas Vochten. He is one of the 40+ speakers of the upcoming PowerShell Conference Europe, which takes place in the beautiful country of Austria. He is also a Microsoft MVP for Office apps and services since 2013. Thomas, thank you very much for your time. Would you please introduce yourself a little to the community to get a better idea of who you are and what you do?
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, both at this interview and also at the conference. Of course, it's actually my first time speaking at PSCONF, so it's also my first time. I think, well, not my first time to Vienna, but the first time I'm speaking in Vienna. So that I'm really looking forward to it. It's a little bit outside my traditional, let's say, Microsoft 365 realm, because that's my main expertise. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm coming from a Microsoft 365 background, as I already stated. Well, it's also a vast ecosystem. I'm an IT pro from that's my background. Although last few years I evolved more into let's say, well, my official job title is technology evangelist, so that means I like talking a lot. That's probably also why I am an MVP, which is also means talking a lot. So that's a little bit my background. I also run the Belgian Information Worker User Group, which is a mouthful, I know that. We do monthly meetings around, well, Microsoft 365 related topics, and we also organize Collab Days Belgium. That's the fantastic event formerly known as SharePoint Saturday Belgium. So that's what that's what I'm doing for the community. Yeah.
So a lot of things to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So maybe also related to your 365 background, maybe your sessions fit into that. So you have 2 sessions at the PowerShell conference. One is using the Microsoft Graph for reluctant IT pros, and getting started with Git and GitHub for the reluctant IT pros. So would you please tell us a little bit about your sessions and why should the attendees visit your sessions?
Yeah, as I said, I'm an IT pro from a background perspective. But over the last few years, I noticed that many IT professionals absolutely don't know anything about this big developer world. I'm not a developer myself, absolutely not. I know my way around Visual Studio Code. Of course, I also know some PowerShell. I dabble around with a lot of CLIs like everybody these days, but I'm not a developer. But if you look at the developer ecosystem, there are a lot of very interesting, well, not only tools, but also mindset, I think, that traditional IT professionals like myself could absolutely benefit from. And that's when I started developing a series of talks, like the 2 you mentioned, to introduce IT professionals to the wonderful world of development tooling, not necessarily to become a developer, but also to well, get to know the ecosystem and to see what's in it for me. And there is absolutely something in it for us as IT professionals too. So my first session using the Microsoft Graph for the reluctant IT pro, because Microsoft Graph is traditionally, well, it's not traditionally, it's a developer ecosystem. It's an API put out by Microsoft to get access or to do certain things primarily in Microsoft 365. And it provides you access to all kinds of things, also things that IT professionals traditionally were not exposed to, such as, let's say, I don't know, a list of your planner tasks, or do something in Microsoft To Do, stuff like that. And well, the good thing about the Microsoft Graph is that there's also a Microsoft Graph PowerShell SDK, and that's what this talk will be about. So how does this PowerShell SDK work? What sets it apart from the other modules that Microsoft is putting out for all the different products, and what is the difference between the Microsoft Graph modules, how you can use them, how authentication, authorization works, which is quite a big deal, stuff like that. So that's the first session. And the second session is not necessarily related to Microsoft 365, but yeah, well, if you're doing anything with open source, if you want to contribute to Microsoft documentation, if you want to contribute snippets or whatever, whatever you do these days, well, Git and GitHub plays a central role in that workflow. And I know it's a quite a hard topic, even for seasoned developers. Even if you've been busy with Git and GitHub for a few years, especially Git itself can be quite complicated, but the basics are relatively simple. And that's the subject of my second talk. So it's a gentle introduction, let's say, to what is Git, how you can do the most basic things, how can you contribute to something that Microsoft puts out there, or how you can host your own open source project. And that's the second talk. Yeah, so two completely different things, I guess.
Okay. But why that title of the session? So the reluctant IT pro. So do you have a lot of to do with resistance or non-cooperative employees, or is it just a joke?
Well, it's also, of course, a little bit a joke. But I always tell it's funny, but it really happened. But when I was as a customer a few years ago, I had to ask someone from the IT Pro team a particular question. I don't know what the question was anymore. And the business people said, "Oh, so you're going to ask something at IT?" I said, yeah, sure. I'm going to ask them, I don't know what it was, to open a network port or something like that. And I went to their office and they had a big sign on the door that just said no. So even before entering, you know what was coming. So it's a little bit of a joke. I'm an IT professional myself, and as IT pros, it's our task to be in charge of stability, to make sure everything is running smoothly. And well, that sometimes goes a little bit against the objectives that developers have, maybe. And that's also why many IT professionals are a bit reluctant when it comes to something that even remotely smells like developer stuff. And that's why I put this in the title. So,
yeah. Okay, understand. But it's really looking forward.
It's supposed to be a little bit funny. Yeah.
Okay. So you already mentioned you have been in Austria before. That's correct. So it's not your first time visit in Austria.
No, it's not my first time. I think although it's mostly been, it's a long time ago actually since I last was in Austria. No, the last time was when I drove to Austria to Slovenia. But that's
okay.
okay. But it's mainly holidays, I guess. It's a long time ago already. But yeah.
So when you think about Austria, what is typically for you when you think about Austria? What comes in your mind?
Well, good question. Well, when people from our part in Europe think about Austria, they of course think about mountains, right? Although I fully realize that Austria is not only just mountains. Some people seem to think that, but that's absolutely not the case. So yeah, and I know quite a few Austrian people already from the Microsoft 365 community. So that's also that's also something I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
To meet. So anything special you're looking forward to do, to eat, to meet in Austria?
Well, I realized just before we had this call, because I looked at the speaker list of PSCONF, and I've been doing conferences for, I don't know, 15 years, speaking at them for, I don't know, 11 or 12 years probably. So, but I realized that although I recognize a few of the names, I don't think I know anyone personally from the other speakers, and that's quite unusual. So that alone makes me look forward to it. So that's something. Yeah, I just realized it's okay. Wow. Oh yeah, I don't know that name. I know that name, but I've never met them. So that's going to
meet
be
all the
different.
speakers in person again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you plan to stay long in Austria or just for the conference?
It's going to be just for the conference, unfortunately. Yeah. I was able to squeeze it into my schedule, but that's it's going to be just conference, I guess. But it's 4 days, if I'm not mistaken, or 3 days.
It's 4 days, yes, 4 days.
So maybe I'll sneak out in the evening to have a look at Vienna, for example, at least. So something like that. Small touristy stuff or the day before, but nothing major. No.
Okay. I found a really nice sentence or note on your website. So I've gone through your LinkedIn and website, and I saw on the contact page related to Telegram that you said something like you did the Telegram because it was used by the cool kids, but you're not sure if this is still cool for the cool kids and so on. So have you figured out, is there something new, or is it still cool to have a Telegram account?
Well, I still have a Telegram account, but I must admit that I've migrated everything to Signal these days. So it's the problem is you can't. There is no concept of usernames in Signal, so you can't put something on your blog to links directly to Signal. But I'm still using it. But yeah, it's more or less Signal these days.
Okay.
Although it's quite hard to get the non-technical people off of WhatsApp, which is which will be impossible. But yeah.
Okay. So you're now in Signal, so that's the next cool thing.
I guess
maybe.
So. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so. Yeah.
So now the last question, and that's some question everyone needs to answer. So what is your favorite PowerShell commandlet and your favorite PowerShell module?
All right, my favorite PowerShell command is probably get command. I'm not I'm not a PowerShell guru, absolutely not. I know my way around PowerShell. I know it fairly well, but I often GCM all the time. So that's probably my main my most popular command. The most popular module. That's a good question, actually.
Or maybe that's one you use on a regular base or heavily use.
Yeah, apart from the obvious ones like PowerShell get and PS readline and everything, I think terminal icons. I like that one because I like to see nice things. So it layouts puts beautiful colors in your
terminal icons.
Terminal dash icons.
Okay,
it's
that's
just
something
it's just It's just eye candy. That's one I like. And then I recently started using Plaster. Like 10 years after most people started using it, probably, especially at PSCONF. And that's also something I like because, I like to have things, especially my way, and that helps me a lot. Yeah. And of course, the Microsoft Graph PowerShell module. That's something I will talk about in my talk.
Okay. Thomas, thank you very much for your time. Any last words to the community?
Well, I'm really looking forward to meeting the Austrian community, and I suppose there will also be other people from outside Austria, I guess. So I'm really looking forward to what will be one of the first in-person conferences then again. So that's So
in person again after 2 years. That's a lot of speakers which are looking forward to meet persons in real life, face to face again.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thomas, thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to meet you in June and wish you a nice day. Bye-bye.
My pleasure.